What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing well today. This is Raphael Garcia, and I'm here for episode number 58 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. It is Saturday, May 16th, and this is day whatever of lockdown 2020. But I still hope you're healthy. I hope you're doing well. I hope your family's safe. And I hope you are staying sane in a time in which we are all inside the house for an extended amount of time. But with that in mind, I am using this time to catch up on a lot of professional wrestling, and we have some to talk about today, including wrestling from WWE, AEW this week. I've watched a little bit of NWA Power as well, and Dark Side of the Ring, most recent episode from this past Tuesday, I believe, on the Road Warriors. I won't stick on that topic too much, but it was another interesting episode of that series. So before we get started, as always, I want to thank you first and foremost for listening to this show. You can always find our content first and foremost at MMAratings.net. That's our flagship over there, where you can read our content about mixed martial arts and combat sports, and rate the fights. Let us know what you're thinking about the action week after week. And you can also catch all of MMA Ratings content on MMA Ratings Net across Instagram and Twitter. You can go to YouTube, find MMA Ratings for this podcast and our Tuesday podcast, which covers mixed martial arts, and an interview series, which I have done 2 episodes in. And you can also catch us on Spotify and Apple, iTunes, Google Podcast, and Anchor as well. You can catch me on Twitter at rgarcia_sports. So please like, share, and subscribe. And we always thank you for taking the time to do so and continuously supporting this show and our efforts. Well, with that in mind, let's go ahead and talk about the world of professional wrestling and just some things that we saw this week. So we can't have a show about wrestling and not start with what happened on Monday, where Becky Lynch announced to the world that she is pregnant and is stepping away from professional wrestling. And congratulations first and foremost to her. I think she has had an amazing last 3 years or so, 3 or 4 years, and it's been exceptional watching her grow and watching her take that position. I mean, she literally took it. The she was not even that afterthought in the women's division for a long time, especially when it comes to being compared to her compatriots in the four horsewomen. But she took that spot and she has kept it and she's held on to it, and it's well deserved. So congratulations to her and Seth Rollins, but definitely to her, because she's really pulled herself up during these last few months, and it's like this is like almost like a culmination of those last few months of how great they've been in some regards for her. So first and foremost, congratulations to Becky Lynch, and she will be stepping away for an extended period of time, obviously, because she can't be in the ring being a wrestler and taking those bumps and doing all that stuff and doing all that traveling while with child. So that's definitely understandable. They showed, I think it was interesting that they showed her and Vince McMahon hugging in the background when after her announcement. So I think that was a nice touch, and she's been getting a lot of praise and love across social media. So I think that is well worth acknowledging, because it's a moment, it's a very special moment in this industry. And what happened was she relinquished the title, and she relinquished it in a way that was pretty interesting as well too. I think no one really saw it coming, where Asuka won the title during the Money in the Bank match on Sunday. So now she's the Raw Women's Champion. And Asuka's been the MVP of WWE for this whole pandemic. She's been on both shows. She's been doing everything that is asked of her and excelling at it at the same time. I mean, we knew Asuka was one of the greatest wrestlers in the world before this, but this really cemented it. And she's done everything. She's won the ladder match the Money in the Bank ladder match. She's Raw Women's Champion, SmackDown Women's Champion, NXT Champion. She has won the Royal Rumble. She's been a Survivor Series sole survivor. So I mean, she's done everything, and it's just amazing looking at how she's. I don't use the word captivated, but been counted on, and the way she's been counted on, and the way she's performed as well. So hats off to her because she is just amazing in every sense of the word, and it's good to see her get the title this way. And I think it's an interesting fresh start because there's so many different things that they can do now. It gives us some fresh matchups. I hope. Two, I want to see myself. You know, I want to see her and Shayna Baszler have a legit match, not that shit that they did at Elimination Chamber, but have a legit match where they both come out looking like badasses. And they can also go that Kairi Sane route as well too. People forget how good Kairi Sane is because she just hasn't been booked that way for so long. She's been booked like she's the Marty Jannetty out of the Rockers, and that's just unfortunate because she's so much better than that. But she being Asuka and Kairi Sane would be a moment that I would just sit and just enjoy from start to finish. I love everything about that. But Asuka is now your Raw Women's Champion, and that is going to, change some things on that show. You know, now she's on that show permanently. I don't know if Kairi Sane is as well. She was on it actually. She was there. They had a little brief segment backstage after she was awarded the title. So there's really a lot to kind of unpack there, and I hope that we see some different things for the Raw Women's division. Since it's been a whole week since Money in the Bank, I'm not gonna dive too much into that show, but I enjoyed the I enjoyed the bulk of it. I really thought the ladder match was different. I don't think it was different in the way that we thought it was going to be, or it was, but I just wanted to see a couple of different things. There obviously were some hilarious parts. AJ Styles, everyone talks about how funny Chris Jericho is and how he's just hilarious in everything that he does. But AJ Styles is funny as hell, and I don't think he gets a lot of credit when he was running and he ran into the Undertaker room and he panicked. I think that was hilarious when him and Daniel Bryan ran into Vince McMahon's office. I think that was hilarious as well too. A lot of people don't really talk about him in the same fashion as they talk about Chris Jericho. I think that needs to change because he is freaking hilarious and he can just about do anything that's asked about him in professional wrestling. So I think that we need to really highlight that and appreciate him the same way that we do in Jericho. I'm not saying he's as good as Jericho. I'm not saying that because I don't believe that, but he deserves some more respect than he's already getting. It's not saying that he's not getting any at all. Um, so the winners were Oscar. Obviously, we talked about her and Otis, and the reaction to Otis winning the men's Money in the Bank has been mixed, for lack of a better term. And I'm starting to see more people dislike it than people who did, and that's unfortunate because I'm gonna admit I am not the biggest heavy machinery fan in any way, shape, or form. I'm just not a fan of comedy wrestling. I'm not a fan of joke wrestling, but I will say I am intrigued in the WWE doing something different. We've been asking for a long time for them to do something different. This is not the version of different I was asking for, but it's still a different that goes against the grain of what they usually do, the boring shit that they usually do. Now that doesn't mean they've made a full 180-degree change yet. They're still doing some crap, boring ass shit. But however, as some of my friends would say, this is different, and I'm here for it for now. We saw him and Braun Strowman interacting on Friday Night SmackDown this week, where they tagged together, and Otis was kind of hinting, faking at doing a cash in. So I think that some I think there's some possibilities here. Otis has been able to do the comedy and switch back and forth to the serious, or to switch to the serious a couple of times, enough to make me think that he may be able to do it. I wonder how they're going to mix in the Mandy and Sonya storyline because Sonya Deville's been killing it, man. She's a hell of a promo. I'm glad she's finally getting the shine we all knew she deserved. But I'm interested in them doing something different. I'm interested in this being a moment that we can kind of take back and say, hey, this was something that intriguing that they did in a time where we were tired of them doing the same bullshit week in and week out. So, the last thing I want to talk about from Money in the Bank was Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. I think they tore it up. This is a hell of a wrestling match. The finishing sequence was great. Both of these guys, I mean, what you couldn't expect anything less of McIntyre and Seth Rollins. Of course, they were going to tear it up out there, and they shook hands at the end. Since then, Seth Rollins has been playing like a, I don't want to say like a stress broken man, and I think this is definitely going to lead to something between him and Buddy Murphy. They were hinting at that before, the week before Money in the Bank's pay per view. So I think this is going to be a interesting setup to a new storyline for those two because I would love to see something extended for Murphy and Rollins, and I hope that they would get the time that they need in the ring. Because I mean, th- from a bell to bell, that's that's a fantastic match right there. I'm not sure what I think the out of the ring pieces of it would be well too because Buddy Murphy can hang. He can hang in everything. So I am interested in what they do with that going forward. I think we're going to see some stuff between Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. Bayley and Sasha have put Tamina in a position to look the best that she ever has, and I'm here for it. I'm glad that she got her moment to be the top contender for the women's title, to have a strong women's championship match. Bayley got the win there. Tamina attacks her after the fact, and Sasha saves her. But then that just continues that storyline of Sasha continually saving Bayley, and it's just that was just a good match for me. I'm glad that they went out that way. So we also have other news from WWE this past week. Sami Zayn, he vacated the Intercontinental Championship. They now have a tournament going on that features who's in the tournament? Jeff Hardy, Sheamus, Drew Gulak, Daniel Bryan, Elias, Baron Corbin, and Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles. Now, Elias and Daniel Bryan have already advanced. Next week, we're going to get the other two matches to see who advances in that as well. Um, I just shrugged my shoulders like you guys can really see it. I'm not. I think there's going to be an opportunity for us to have some great matches in this. I don't give a damn about Jeff Hardy. Never. I think he's overrated. But I expect him to beat Sheamus. The AJ Shin Nakamura match, I don't know really. I think AJ's going to win that, but I hope they get time. I hope give him 20 minutes. Give him 20 minutes and let them tear it up. But the story behind that though is Zayn vacating the title because he just wasn't working during COVID-19. And the initial response was that no one will be punished while COVID-19 was rampaging and if they decided not to work. However, a lot of people are looking at the situation as, hey, he's clearly being punished here because he is being taken out of the title picture. And I don't know how it's not looked at in that fashion. He's being taken out of the moment, and I think that that's really telling there because it was an opportunity. Man, Sami Zayn should have been a hell of an Intercontinental champion. Unfortunately, it occurred when all this went down, and I don't think he's ever going to hold another championship in the WWE. He's been way too outspoken over the last few years, and I can see them easily just not putting him in that position. So, what else from Monday night or WWE this week? Bobby Lashley, he's getting himself a strong push, and I hope that that culminates in something special. The Iconics are back. They're challenging for the WWE Tag Team titles next week. I don't want to talk any much. I'm not talking about that basketball game. Shayna Baszler, man. Shayna Baszler had a fucking killer promo on Monday. It's hilarious where she talked about Becky Lynch being stupid for getting pregnant and giving up the title. My favorite line was that kid's gonna suck. Do you know who the dad is? I rest my case. Like Shayna Baszler put on a hell of a promo on Monday and everyone loved it. Edge versus Orton in a straight up wrestling match next week. Okay. I just nodded like that's supposed to make me excited to watch. And they're also doing this brand invitational that is basically the wild card during coronavirus. And the first invitational match on Raw is Baron Corbin versus Drew McIntyre, but Baron Corbin just lost on Friday. So why should I think he's any type of a challenge or a threat to Drew on Monday? It's not going to happen. We all know that's not going to happen. But that's neither here nor there. Um, NXT content. Let's see. Imperium. They defeated Matt Riddle and Tim Thatcher for the titles because Thatcher and Riddle had a fallout, which led to Riddle and Thatcher having a match that night where they just, I mean, it was basically a grappling match like one of the MMA classes I used to teach. And it was great. I loved every moment of that. I know some people are going to complain about that. I can hear some voices already complaining about it, but I enjoyed everything about that match. The tag team match was great. I'm interested in seeing Imperium as tag team champions, especially with them being paired alongside of Walter, if we ever get back to that. But they gave us a great match, and the Riddle Thatcher match as the main event was also fantastic in my opinion. What else do I want to talk about from that? Rhea Ripley, Charlotte. I'm just not happy with that segment. I'm just not happy at it. I'm just not happy with it at all because I don't like the idea of Ripley being inserted back into the title picture so quickly, especially when I thought we were going to get a little more of Io. If this means that we can we can get the title off of Raw, or excuse me, off of Charlotte, with Charlotte still looking strong, okay, but that probably means Io's going to be eating the pin. Um, Jake Atlas continues to win in the cruiserweight title tournament along with Jack Gallagher. He won this past week. Cameron Grimes, Finn Balor. This was a great quick match, and they revealed that Damian Priest is the guy who attacked Finn. And Finn loses this match to Grimes, which shocked me. They could have easily done a situation where Finn beat Grimes and then gets attacked afterwards, but giving Grimes the win, I think that gives him a little bit of a bump as well. We got another moment I want to talk about is the Gargano Lorray house segment because I believe this is going to lead to a mixed tag match with Mia Yim, Keith Lee versus Gargano and LeRae. And I think that while mixed tag team matches aren't, I understand if they're not your cup of tea. I think that this could be a moment where WWE could reintroduce some intergender action in this tag team because if you know anything about LeRae and Yim while they were on independent scenes, they were having some banger intergender matches. There was one specifically I saw recently of LeRae um, figured specifically. There was one with LeRae and I think it was Roddy Strong I saw where she was just tearing it up and getting tossed all around. I mean, I'm not a fan of that piece of it, but she can go and she can give and she can take. So I think that that's going to be something that we could get back to. I'm actually writing about that for Daily DDT this week, so keep an eye out for that. But that's really all I want to talk about from WWE this week, right? Looking up my list, looking up and down my list, there isn't anything else I really want to cover too much. I watched SmackDown this week. You know, eh, the Charlotte Flair segment was probably the most important thing to me. I think that they they tore it up on the mic. They're going to have a Charlotte versus Bayley match next week. Charlotte continued to stir the pot between Sasha and Bayley. I mean, that's the whole point of this, and we know where this is headed. So, I think this is headed to a SummerSlam match between the two, I believe. But let's see how that kind of plays out because it was. I mean, it's three of the four horsewomen, so you can't expect anything but greatness out of the three of them in the ring together. I don't like Sasha's delivery on the mic. I feel like she talks too fast, but she's an icon to me. The other Charlotte and Bayley also do. Bayley's doing much better in this role as a heel champion. So I'm interested in seeing how this match plays out next week. I'm aware that so many people are over the Charlotte Flair on every single show situation, but it's what we're in right now. They're stressed in with their roster and they're trying to get people to watch. And right now they think Charlotte is the one that they can bounce around and get everybody to watch, but it's not working. However, they're going to continue doing it, and I'm going to keep watching. We are going to keep watching. The people who are listening to this show and other podcasts about professional wrestling, we're all going to keep watching. So I want to turn my attention a little bit to AEW, and there's some interesting spots about this show. The most important thing is Mike Tyson going to be on Double or Nothing. If you're not aware, Mike Tyson is 54 years old, and there's talks about him taking some amateur boxing matches, which everyone is excited about. I'm here for it. Well, excited may not be the right word, but I would watch. They would get my money, and I would sit and watch without any hesitation. He's been involved in wrestling in other ways over the years, and he's going to be at Double or Nothing, which is the next Saturday, where he will be awarding the title in TNT Championship to either Lance Archer or Cody. I'm thinking Lance is winning that, but it was announced on Wednesday that he's going to be involved with that. I don't know if you saw Cody's tweets when his responses to Mike Tyson's tweets about being back, and this is interesting to me. He's going to knock somebody out, but if you haven't seen those videos of Mike Tyson hitting pads and training, take a moment to go watch it because dude is 54 years old and you still couldn't pay me to take one of his shots. And in regard to the Lance Archer versus Cody feud, I'm going to give it a chance. I haven't been here for it just because I am not. This is like that's old school rebooking to me, and I get it. I get it. It's just not the most interesting thing to me right now. There was a Twitter debate about if this is the most best built and intriguing storyline in professional wrestling right now, and I disagreed because I like what they're doing with Mandy and Sonya more because I'm more interested in Sonya's character and how they get to the bottom line because this isn't I don't think this is going to end up being just some stupid you were my best friend now you got it's interesting because it is different in that sense. You were my best friend and now you got this boyfriend and I can't stand him and you're being selfish. But the angle with Dolph and Sonya isn't like one of the tropey relationship angles, but she's just a badass who's just looking to beat somebody up, and they're not leaning into, oh, this is another woman. Let's make her the love interest of someone else. So I'm more interested in what's going to happen there. I don't think the matches isn't going to be as good. No way, shape, or form. We saw their match from last Friday. It wasn't good. It opened the show, which kind of caught me off guard. But Sonya's better than a lot of people are reminding or remembering, and I hope that this is an opportunity where she comes out on top with that. They had a four-way women's match on Wednesday as well. Um, Hikaru Shida, I'm a fan of hers. I hope they put the title on her. I doubt they will. If they put it on her, they're going to take it off her or put it on Britt Baker eventually. Like we know that that's the route that they're going to. But Hikaru Shida, man, she can do anything and everything that's asked of her in the ring. I am a fan of hers. She's been killing it. And I'm going to watch anything that she does. This women's match wasn't good at all, but Hikaru is like the standout that the AEW women's roster has. Chris Jericho and Pineapple Pete. I mean, keeping Chris Jericho strong is vital. I hope we eventually get something for Pineapple Pete. Will we? I don't know, but I hope, and I'm hoping on all hope that we do get something special. Not special, but something for him to do. Because we don't really have much for any other black men on AEW's roster right now. Scorpio Sky is going to be in the Casino Battle Royal, not Casino Battle, the Casino Ladder match this week or next weekend. I don't expect him to win it, but it's good that he's at least in it. So let's see what else happens. Like I've always said, every time I'm on a show, every time I am on Twitter or whatever, I am rooting for everyone black. Period. So like let's see how that goes. Brody Lee looked very strong against Christopher Daniels, and I get what they're doing because they closed out the feud between SCU and the Dark Order, so that was important. Some people are doubting whether or not Lee is not a vital, but if he's a credible title contender right now. And I see how that could be the question because he hasn't done much in AEW. It's almost as if they're building him up based solely off of what people expected or wanted for him in the WWE, and I have a slight problem with that because they're hinging too much on the WWE. He was in WWE piece of it without saying it. And if you look at AEW's title pictures since they've been started, it's been heavily WWE. I mean, John Moxley, Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Brody Lee. They had Adam Page. He was taken out of it though. Cody pre WWE. So like, been a lot of that in it. So I want to see them begin doing some things outside of that segment to kind of build that up. But hopefully, I think that they will eventually, especially when we get back to live television at some point in time in the near future. I know at some point in time we're going to get an Adam Page, Kenny Omega title main title picture, and they're going to tear it the fuck up. I mean, there's going to be no doubt about that. I want to close out by talking about Dark Side of the Ring and NWA Power. So I'm watching the episode from this week, the hour NWA Super Power, or whatever they call it, like their super show. It was an hour and a half. I think it was their first live TV or not live TV, it was their first fully taped show in a while since the pandemic. I have stopped watching them because of their situation with Jim Cornette. I had enough when that went down. However, I am liking what NWA Power is doing. They have a very diverse women's roster, which I enjoy. I like Thunder Rosa, Marty Bell, Melina, Camille. She had her first match on Tuesday's show. Allison Kay. They have a strong roster of women, a diverse group of women that look different from everything else that's in professional wrestling. And I think that that is important. So that's really what's been getting me to watch right now. I like Ricky Starks. He called me out on Twitter this week because I accidentally called him Rocky Starks. So there's that where I butchered his name. But, whatever. I am liking NW. I'm going to try to give them another chance after that Jim Cornette situation. I'm not going to talk about the foolishness that Jim Cornette, like, he had another situation this week where he said some stupid shit, and I don't know why we expect anything different from that guy, at this point in time. Let's see what. So I'll probably be talking about that more next week's show. I'm gonna try to do it earlier in the week. But NWA Power, they have my attention right now, and I think and I don't have a lot of time to dole out cross professional wrestling, so I'm interested in seeing what their content looks like over the next few weeks. Dark Side of the Ring. This was another good show. It's funny because a friend of mine who I didn't know was into professional wrestling was pushing me to watch this episode, and he had a lot of good things to say about it. The Road Warriors, I could definitely see them being considered the greatest tag team of all time, especially seeing how they, that was their pinnacle, being the best tag team that was around back then. Are they my favorite? No, but when What a Rush hit, everybody knew what the hell someone's going to get their ass beat. And listening to their upbringing, it seems like they were beating a lot of ass throughout their life, and going into professional wrestling was kind of the culmination of it. And I mean, I am enjoying Dark Side of the Ring. Period. It is a very interesting show. You know a lot of these stories already if you follow wrestling as closely as a lot of people do. But it's always interesting to hear different sides of it. Like we got a Scott Norton viewing, and Scott Norton back in WCW was my guy. He's like the Scott Norton was that hidden gem in WCW who just used to beat everybody the hell up, and I miss that. We don't have a Scott Norton in wrestling today. We don't have a Road Warriors in wrestling today. They don't make teams like that anymore. And WWE definitely doesn't book teams like that. WWE definitely does not book teams like that anymore. So this Road Warriors episode was good. I still need to go back and watch the New Jack episode. I would like to see more around women, more about people of color in their content. They did the show about Eddie Eddie Guerrero that did the show about what's the other guy's name? New Jack. So that's I'm always pushing for those stories to be told. But again, if you have time to sit down and watch Dark Side of the Ring, if you're a professional wrestling fan, please do so because it's some great content, and I would like to see get more praise that as it deserves. But with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and close out today's episode of Let's Talk Wrestling. As always, you can find all of our content on MMAratings.net. You can catch us on Instagram and Twitter with the same handle, MMARatingsNet. You can catch us on podcasting networks including Spotify, Anchor, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, and YouTube as well by searching for MMA Ratings. My name is Raphael Garcia. You will find me talking about professional wrestling, combat sports, politics, and everything in between at rgarcia_sports on Instagram and Twitter. I hope you are doing well. I hope you're staying safe. Thank you for listening to this episode. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our content and check us out next week. Be safe, everyone.